And tonight, Hillary Clinton finally meets the press. Kind of. What she said and what she didn't say coming right up. ISIS still gaining ground in Iraq. Can anything slow them down? A Supreme Court justice officiates a gay wedding and cites the Constitution in the process. And ABC's George Stephanopoulos continues to come under fire for his connection with the Clintons. We'll talk about all of that. Plus, yay or nay, potluck, all that stuff. This is The Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And tonight on The Wrap, my co-host and Sirius XM radio host, Rick Unker. Welcome.
That would be me.
Yes. And to his right, Philadelphia attorney and America's pundit. She is Heather Hansen. And finally, author, spiritual leader, and editor of The Wisdom Daily, Brad Hirschfield is back once again. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very busy night. Let's get right to the Daily Download.
Well, Andrea, she answered about 5 minutes worth of questions. She did address the emails.
Yes, it's been so long since Hillary Clinton last answered any questions from reporters that it's now breaking news when she does. In fact, the Washington Post had to reset its Clinton questions clock. Prior to that, Mrs. Clinton had gone nearly a month, or over 40,000 minutes, according to said Washington Post, since last answering a question from the press. And today, she finally talked about the growing email controversy surrounding her time as Secretary of State, specifically her relationship with friend and former Clinton Foundation employee Sidney Blumenthal, who has sent sensitive intelligence reports to the former Secretary of State, while she was at the State Department.
You were Hillary Clinton. Could you explain your relationship as Secretary of State with Sidney Blumenthal? There was a report out this morning that you've exchanged several emails. And should Americans expect that if elected president, you would have that same type of relationship with these old friends that you've had for so long?
I have many, many old friends, and I always think that it's important when you get into politics to have friends you had before you were in politics and to understand what's on their minds. And he's been a friend of mine for a long time. He sent me unsolicited emails, which I passed on in some instances.
The key words there, unsolicited emails. By the way, did you notice her eyes when she was responding to that question about Sidney Blumenthal? Look, we do very smart, thoughtful commentary here in the Daily Wrap, but everybody was talking about that on social media today. They were not small. Anyway, Rick, it almost felt like the Queen had to go meet the peasants and answer some of their stupid questions. That's what it felt like to me.
That would be one take if we're hell-bent on criticizing her if she does or if she doesn't.
Over a month, or about a month.
But she did. Mm-hmm. So why are we criticizing her for finally doing it? I agree, she took too long, but she did it. So wouldn't this be a day that we talk about her answers? By the way, I don't get this whole Sidney Blumenthal thing. I have friends in government, some very high up, and I send them emails too with thoughts and advice.
But did they then forward them to their colleagues
Why
and
is that
say
such
it's
a terrible
important
thing?
because they're not vetted. I mean,
what do you mean they're not vetted?
He is sending information from Libya. That's the problem. I mean, did you read the New York Times article? That's what they're talking about. It's based on faulty information, and she's now handing it on to the people to act upon it when it's based on faulty information.
First of all, she didn't hand it on to people to act upon it. She handed it on for opinions, and you know what the opinions were? We don't buy what he said. So wait, let's tell that part because it's pretty important. She's only passing along thoughts from somebody she thinks is smart. People do this all the time. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. If the press is going to criticize Hillary Clinton in a stupid way, and this was a stupid way, if they had acted on something that he said and it was faulty information, I get it. They didn't act on it because they disagreed. If this is what the press is going to do because they're mad at her because she won't answer questions, then the press is going to have absolutely no influence in this election.
I don't think that's what they're doing. Were that happening? No, they're not. Here's the thing. She has created a culture where everything revolves around her privately. And that's exactly people are. No, it doesn't matter. She has behaved in the way. We have 5 minutes of answering questions, 40,000 minutes of not answering questions. Yeah. First, there was one private email address. Now it turns out there are two private email addresses.
We're talking about
what it has to do with when you create a culture of privatizing everything and lack public accountability, you're feeding the troll.
That's fine.
I get it.
So what I'm telling you is, if the troll is going to make silly criticisms...
this is co-arisen. She has contempt for the press and transparency, and the people whose identity is to be transparent are overreacting.
And yet she's
so
going
if
to
you
be
want
the
to say
next
she's
president of the United
overreacting,
States. She's not
You think
overreacting.
so?
The press is overreacting.
I think if you want to say the press is overreacting, understand she has created the culture of overreaction.
I'm not saying that they can't do it.
100%.
I didn't say they can't do it. What I'm saying is they will find themselves with very little influence after a very short period of time if they continue to make criticisms that the public looks at and goes, what are you talking about?
Well,
you just declared that she'll be the next president of the
Actually,
United
she
States.
will
You think, based on the way that she's conducted herself since the book tour and all the way through, let me finish the question, please. The way she's conducting herself as a candidate or on the book tour last year, that she has looked confident when she's been out on the campaign trail. Her handlers have hid her from the press. She answered those questions today, not because she wanted to, but because she was forced to. How can she go for the next 500 days through the campaign and act
Well, you're assuming that
the
she
way
will.
she is?
And you know, I've been critical about the way her first couple weeks went. I think it got a lot better. But I got to tell you something. With all of those things that have happened, the emails, all this stuff, it's all come down to that issue we always see in the whatchamacallit, the surveys. Is she trustworthy? And nobody thinks she's trustworthy. And guess what? They don't care because they think that she'll put more money in their pocket.
You know what poll I want to see, and then we got to move on. I want to see likability numbers.
Doesn't matter. They'll still.
That doesn't matter?
I
No,
think they
it
like
doesn't.
her. Snoop Dogg was on TV this week, and he said he's going to vote for her. I
Yeah,
think
but
that
he
I think.
thinks
well,
Game
that's
of
a ringing
Thrones is for real.
recommendation. That's what he thinks Game of
I
Thrones
think
is
there's a lot
medieval
of
history.
people. I think there's a lot of
Anyway,
people.
we have to move on. Mrs. Clinton's call for the quick release of her emails came after a federal judge rejected a plan by the State Department. The department had planned to release portions of the 55,000 pages of emails turned over by Clinton by January of next year. But the judge says it must come sooner than that, and that they should be released in batches after being vetted by the State Department. Why did the judge step in here, Ms. Hansen?
You know, anytime that you're trying to get something from somebody and it's taking a very long time, the judges will step in and say, you know what, I'm going to help you to do this a little bit more quickly. If you look at it, there's a project manager, 2 case analysis, and 9 Freedom of Information Act reviewers looking at this information. The fact that it's going to take them this long on the taxpayers' money is a little worrisome. He's trying to move up along the process.
Okay, well, prior to Hillary Clinton taking questions today, Bill Clinton has been doing most of the talking for the Clinton campaign. Recently on David Letterman, the 42nd president joked about a possible return to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
If she wins the election, the chances are 100% I'll move back. If I'm asked.
So, will the former First Lady be able to separate from the circus sideshow that is Bill Clinton, Brad Hirschfield?
I think the question is she able to separate herself from the circus sideshow she's creating with her own candidacy? That's the real question. I mean, the stuff with them as a couple is what it is, and it's a little bit ridiculous, and he keeps saying silly things like, you know, I got to get by on $25 million a year. But I think the bigger question does come back, can she stop creating a sideshow of her own campaign?
She said today that she wanted all the emails to get out. These are the same emails that she has concealed from the public in a server in her basement that she has since destroyed for years. I know you're shaking your head.
It's such a faulty analysis. Of course she
Is it
wants
faulty?
them out.
Did she destroy the server? Did she conceal it from the public?
Wait.
So why is that faulty exactly?
Because she didn't conceal them from the public. The public wouldn't have seen them if they were sitting in a State Department server.
She concealed the fact that she had her own server, Rick.
Let me finish, please. And what you don't understand is, had those emails come out when they were originally planned in January, what does that date mean? 2 weeks before the Iowa primary? You bet she wants them out as soon as possible. She wants them out yesterday. And by the way, there's nothing bad in those emails because she already went through them.
Well, that's right.
She went through them. You know there's nothing bad in the email?
Well, would you turn in, if we know that she destroyed it, would you send them in the stuff that's going to hurt you?
It's 55,000 emails.
Yeah, but they went through them. And that's why you're criticizing
There are
her.
73 other Freedom of Information Act cases pending with regard to this stuff. There's going to be more information probably from the aides, because I think you're right. I think if she's destroying emails, she's probably destroying the worst of them. But there is so much more to come. Sure, she's going to say she wants it all to come out, and she probably isn't so worried about hers.
If you guys would like to bet against Bill Clinton politically, I'll take the bet. Name the price.
The old Bill Clinton, I agree with you.
Yeah,
this Bill Clinton is not the same
He will
one.
be. He will be.
Right?
When it's showtime, he will be.
Okay.
I'll take all comers on
all right.
that.
Rick is now our bookie. Coming up next, ISIS continues to gain ground in Iraq. We'll talk about that. Stick right there.